"I'm reporting you to the authorities this instant." That was the shrill declaration from my HOA nemesis, Deborah Klein, aimed at my wife on her first day in our new home. Her phone was already pressed to her ear, 911 on speed dial. Suspicious military vehicle, potential impersonation of service members, she announced with a smirk of triumph. Within 45 minutes, 2 police officers were knocking at our door, summoned by this self-proclaimed neighborhood overlord who thought she could shame the new couple on the block. What she didn't know was who she'd just accused of deceit. I watched her smug grin morph into sheer panic when my wife, cool as ice, reached for her wallet. What she revealed turned the tables forever. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. After 2 years of long-distance marriage, my wife, Lauren, was finally moving in. I'd prepped the house to perfection. Fresh paint, sparkling floors, a welcome home sign strung across the porch. The neighborhood was serene, and I thought this would be our happiest moment. I was mistaken. One variable I hadn't accounted for was the woman 4 houses down, Deborah Klein, who was about to turn our joy into a battlefield. The rumble of the military transport rolling down Oak Ridge Lane still sends shivers down my spine. I was pacing by the window, checking my phone every minute like an anxious kid. The house gleamed, with new roses on the kitchen table and candles ready to light. Everything was set for Lauren's arrival after 24 months of video chats and fleeting weekend trips. I couldn't stop smiling as the massive green truck rounded the corner and parked in our driveway. Lauren stepped out, radiating confidence. At 35, she carried the poise of 9 years in the military, tall, strong, and purposeful in every movement. Her hug felt like home, but her eyes never stopped scanning the surroundings, a habit from her deployments. Always assessing, she'd joke, her smile warm but her posture alert. She chuckled at the welcome sign, but I noticed the way she clocked every detail around us. It's what made her an exceptional officer, and it would soon prove critical. That's when the storm hit in the form of a woman in a floral cardigan. Deborah Klein's front door slammed like a thunderclap echoing across the quiet street. She charged toward us, phone in hand, eyes fixed on the military truck like a hawk spotting prey. I'd seen Deborah before, always with her notepad, always nitpicking something. A crooked mailbox, an untrimmed lawn. But today, her march was pure aggression, snapping photos of the truck from every angle like a detective at a crime scene. Deborah's approach was calculated, almost performative. She posted to the neighborhood app, typing furiously, "Unauthorized military vehicle disrupting our community." Her fingers danced across the screen with the precision of a seasoned bureaucrat. Then she launched her attack. "Excuse me," her voice sliced through the calm afternoon. "I'm Deborah Klein, HOA Enforcement Chair. That vehicle violates Section 4C of our bylaws. No oversized vehicles parked on residential streets for over 20 minutes. No hello, no introductions, just straight to confrontation. I tried to respond calmly. "Ma'am, this is my wife, Lauren. She's just moving in from base housing." But Deborah cut me off like a guillotine. "I don't care who she says she is. Rules apply to everyone, and I've checked. No military personnel are registered at this address." Lauren's reaction was a study in composure. While I felt my face flush with frustration, she watched Deborah with a faint, almost amused smile, like a strategist sizing up an opponent. Her silence rattled Deborah more than any argument could. "This neighborhood has standards." Deborah snapped, her voice climbing as neighbors peeked from their windows. She thrived on the audience. "I've upheld property values for 15 years. I won't let some wannabe soldier and her spineless husband ruin it." The phrase "wannabe soldier" made my blood boil, but Lauren just tilted her head, as if Deborah had said something mildly curious. Deborah dialed the HOA hotline right there in our driveway, her voice loud enough for the whole street to hear. "Urgent violation, military vehicle, possible impersonation. I'll document everything." She rattled off her victories like a war general. "I've dealt with 8 problem families here. The Millers left after 4 months of enforcement. The Patels couldn't handle the standards." She boasted, 28 violations processed this year alone. I am the law on Oak Ridge Lane." Her words were a power play, designed to crush resistance. Neighbors emerged, drawn by the drama. Mr. Larson, from across the street, frowned, unsure who to side with. Mrs. Patel, 2 houses down, looked uneasy. Deborah fed off the attention, her voice growing bolder with every curious face. Lauren finally spoke, her tone steady as granite. "Ma'am, you seem very dedicated. Do you know what actual authority looks like?" The question landed like a gauntlet, calm but laced with challenge. Deborah scoffed, dripping with condescension. "Sweetie, I've been handling troublemakers since you were in diapers. This is my domain, and these are my rules." Lauren's smile sharpened, a glint of something fierce in her eyes. "I'm sure you have. Fascinating." The tension was electric when Deborah delivered her final threat, storming off but turning back to shout, "I'm calling the police tomorrow. We'll see how fake your military story is." As she retreated, Lauren calmly snapped a photo of her mid-tirade, capturing her flushed face and pointed finger. When I asked why, Lauren's reply was simple but loaded. Evidence, love. Always gather evidence. What was she planning with that photo? What's Lauren hiding? Share your guesses below. True to her word, Deborah was on the phone with 911 at 6:30 a.m. the next morning. From our bedroom window I saw her pacing her porch, voice carrying like a megaphone. "Suspicious individuals in our community," she declared, as if reporting a national security threat. "Military vehicle, possible stolen valor, potentially dangerous." The word "dangerous" was laced with venom, painting us as a menace. She didn't stop at the police. I watched her call the city clerk about unregistered vehicles, the fire marshal about safety hazards, and even the utility company, claiming our truck might be overloading the grid. Her recruitment campaign was relentless. She went door to door, rallying neighbors like a wartime propagandist. "For our safety, we need to document this," she told Mrs. Patel, her tone dripping with concern. "They could be scammers, criminals. Who knows?" To the young family next door, she whispered, "Military types can be unstable. PTSD, you know, not safe around kids." Her rumors spread like wildfire, poisoning the neighborhood before we could even introduce ourselves. Her online campaign was even more vicious. The community app lit up with posts. "Fake military couple threatens Oak Ridge Lane," with blurry photos of our truck. "Stolen valor alert. Read another." Deborah had turned a parked vehicle into a full-blown conspiracy. The sirens approaching Oak Ridge Lane twisted my stomach into knots. 2 police cars rolled up, lights flashing but sirens off, signaling this wasn't a true emergency. Chief Daniels, a grizzled veteran in his late 50s, stepped out of the first car, looking like he'd seen every kind of nonsense. Officer Reed, younger and eager, followed, clipboard in hand. Neighbors gathered, at least a dozen, with Deborah front and center, basking in her role as the neighborhood's savior. "Officers, thank you for coming," Deborah said, gesturing at our house like it was a crime scene. "These people are disrupting our community." She claims to be military, but has no proof. He's clearly too scared to speak up. Her voice carried for maximum impact, framing herself as the hero against shady newcomers. Chief Daniels nodded, his face unreadable but tired. "Ma'am, we'll verify identities and check for violations." My hands shook as I watched from the living room. This was absurd. We'd done nothing wrong, yet I felt like a criminal. What if this tarnished Lauren's career? What if the neighbors believed her? Lauren, unfazed, laced up her shoes and stepped outside. "Officers, we've done nothing wrong." I said, my voice wavering, "That truck is being picked up soon. My wife is active duty military." Deborah pounced. "Prove it. Show us documents." Chief Daniels raised a hand. "Ma'am, sir, we need to see ID." My heart sank as I fumbled for my wallet, but eyes were on Lauren. She moved deliberately, pulling out her wallet with the calm of someone in complete control. The crowd went silent as she extracted a single card, holding it up to the sunlight. The military ID gleamed, the silver eagle unmistakable, Lieutenant Colonel Lauren Hart, United States Army. The silence was deafening. Deborah's face was a slow-motion collapse. Her smug smile faltered, her eyes widened, her jaw dropped. In seconds, she went from triumphant to petrified, realizing she'd called the police on a high-ranking officer. Chief Daniel's demeanor shifted instantly. He snapped to attention, saluting sharply. "Colonel Hart, my apologies, ma'am, had we known your rank." Officer Reed followed suit, visibly embarrassed. The contrast with Deborah's frozen shock was almost funny. Real authority met her petty power trip. "Should we file a report for false calls, Chief?" Reed asked quietly. The crowd buzzed. "She called the cops on a colonel. Someone whispered, 'Is she out of her mind?' Deborah stammered about fake IDs, but Daniels shut her down." "This is legitimate, ma'am. I suggest you rethink your complaints." As the police left, Daniels muttered to Reed, loud enough for Deborah to hear, "Note this address. Keep tabs on Klein. People like her don't quit." Deborah's face drained of color, her empire crumbling. What did Daniels mean? Will Deborah back off or escalate? Share your thoughts. For 3 days after the incident, Deborah's house was eerily silent. No porch rants, no notepad patrols. It should have felt like a victory, but it was unsettling, like the calm before a storm. Through our window, I saw her shadow pacing behind her curtains, her computer's glow flickering late into the night. She wasn't done. She was plotting. How dare they humiliate me? I imagined her muttering, "I've ruled this street for 20 years. What I didn't know was that Deborah was digging into military regulations, complaint protocols, anything to regain control." Her counterattack hit on day 4, a barrage of violation notices taped to our door like a declaration of war. Excessive noise at 6:00 a.m. For Lauren's morning run, vehicle overhangs property line by 1.8 inches. Unauthorized signage for our welcome banner. Shrub height exceeds 40 inches by 0.5 inches. Day 5 brought more. Trash bins out 12 hours early. Porch light too bright. Unapproved door color. Delivery truck obstructed view. Pet noise complaint. We don't even have a pet. Suspicious gathering for a visit from a friend. Each carried a $75 fine, totaling $750 in 2 days. Deborah wasn't just citing us. She was waging economic warfare. She followed Lauren's runs, snapping photos like a tabloid reporter. Her car blocked our driveway daily, forcing awkward confrontations. Her terrier suddenly used our lawn as a toilet with no cleanup. At 10:59 p.m., her stereo blared, stopping just before the noise ordinance kicked in. She stood in her yard, staring at our house for hours, taking flash photos through our windows, claiming suspicious activity. Notes appeared on our car. Rules exist for a reason. Respect the community. Her online campaign fueled rumors. Unstable military couple threatens safety. She whispered to neighbors about PTSD risks, planting fear. The constant harassment was suffocating. I wasn't sleeping, checking locks obsessively, dreading the next citation. "Lauren, maybe we should pay the fines, play along," I said, hating the words. "Maybe she'll stop." Lauren's eyes flashed with resolve. "Ryan, I've faced real enemies with real weapons. I'm not bowing to a suburban tyrant." That night, as Deborah's music blared, I whispered, "Maybe we should move." Lauren sat up, her voice firm. "I've led soldiers through combat. I'm not running from a clipboard warrior." The next morning, she opened her laptop, creating a folder, Operation Oak Ridge Freedom. She began documenting Deborah's violations, her car near a hydrant, her dog off-leash, her own noise infractions. "Know your enemy," Lauren said, her strategy taking shape. "What's her plan? What did she find on Deborah? Share your theories." Deborah arrived at the emergency HOA meeting like a general claiming victory. She sat up in the front row, armed with a binder of evidence, greeting board members like old allies. "Karen, Mike, Susan, thank you for calling this urgent session," she said smoothly. This situation threatens our community's integrity." Her tone was polished, her presentation rehearsed. "We're facing deliberate defiance by individuals who think military status exempts them from rules." She began, opening her binder to reveal photos, complaints, and witness statement, each formatted like a legal brief. The room buzzed as 30 neighbors filled the seats, the largest turnout in years. Deborah's evidence painted our truck as a menace, Lauren's workouts as disturbances, and us as threats. "I've protected this community for 15 years, she said, voice trembling with feigned emotion. "Now I'm being targeted for doing my duty." Lauren and I slipped in quietly. When asked to respond, Lauren stood, holding a single folder. "May I present evidence to refute these claims?" she asked, her voice calm but commanding. The room stilled as she connected her laptop to the projector. "Evidence set 1, she announced, showing clear footage of Deborah dumping trash in our bin at 5:30 a.m. Gasps echoed. "Set 2, falsified complaints." She proved Deborah's witnesses were her cronies with no real evidence. Photos showed Deborah's own violations, her car blocking sidewalks, her garden too tall, her unapproved decorations. Set 3, harassment. Phone logs revealed Deborah's calls to Lauren's base, plus 52 photos of our property. Set 4, selective enforcement. A chart showed 20 violations against us in 10 days versus 2 for the entire neighborhood. The room erupted in whispers. "She's been watching my house too." Someone muttered, "She cited my gate last year." Another said, "Deborah's facade cracked. This is slander." She shrieked, lunging for the projector. "I blocked her path and board members restrained her." "Ma'am," I said, "the disturbance is clear." After a brief deliberation, the board dismissed all our violations, fined Deborah $600 for abuse of process, and issued a harassment warning. A new rule required independent evidence for complaints, unofficially the Deborah Klein rule. She stormed out, muttering about lawsuits. In the parking lot, her voice trembled on a call. "I need to report HOA corruption. Yes, my address is 1002, 147 Oak Ridge Lane. Who was she calling? Will her plan backfire? Comment your predictions." 2 weeks later, life felt normal. Deborah's house was a fortress of drawn curtains, her patrols gone. We slept soundly, and Lauren ran without a stalker. "Maybe she's learned." I said over dinner. Lauren shook her head. "People like her don't quit. They adapt." A week later, a moving truck arrived at 1002, 145 Oak Ridge Lane, next to Deborah's. A woman in her 30s stepped out, fit, friendly, waving at everyone. "I'm Emma Daniels," she said, knocking on our door. "Just moved in next to that house." She gestured at Deborah's with a knowing smile. "Heard there was some drama." We laughed, keeping it vague. "Just a misunderstanding," I said. Emma grinned. "Oh, I know those types. Karens who thrive on control." Deborah tried her playbook on Emma. Fake friendliness, then citations for overhyped flowers, parked car loitering, and humming during quiet hours. But Emma laughed off each notice, documenting them with precision and waving at Deborah's window. When Deborah's dog soiled Emma's lawn, Emma cleaned it up, smiling for the camera. When Deborah reported Emma's late night activity, Emma provided her hospital night shift schedule. It was like watching a master outplay a novice. One Sunday, Emma took a call on speaker while gardening. "Hey, Dad," she said. A familiar voice replied, "How's the new place?" "Very educational." Emma said, "The neighbor we discussed, very active. Document it all." The voice said, "Chief Daniels, the officer from Deborah's 911 call. I want a full report." Emma confirmed, "Already on it, Dad." Photos, timestamps, harassment patterns. Deborah's teacup crashed to her floor, her face ashen through her window. She wasn't just facing a neighbor. She was under surveillance by the police chief's daughter, tasked with monitoring her. Emma waved cheerfully. "Nice day for community watch, Mrs. Klein." The irony was perfect. Deborah, the neighborhood spy, was now the spied upon. At a community barbecue the next weekend, everyone but Deborah attended, laughing and connecting. Emma led games uniting neighbors freed from fear. I hung a sign, Oak Ridge Lane, peaceful since 2025. Through her curtains, Deborah watched her kingdom collapse, but another moving truck pulled up on her other side. Whose moving in was Deborah's fate justice or too harsh? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more neighbor drama.